Life decided to humble me and I'm mad about it. So let's talk about the fact that relationships are something that not a lot of us always want. I've known for a while that relationships are draining and keeping connections is something that's not easy. However, recently I've been humbled even by life itself and realized, do I just flatline don't want to? And I know a lot of us already are aware, would be scared, but here's what we have to understand. Before we jump into relationships, we need to understand that this is going to change our lives. Like, okay, I might as well just blame myself because it felt natural. Because who else would be to blame if no one wants to be around me, right? Sometimes this was the case, and we have to accept that maturely. But other times you realize the other person doesn't try it. This doesn't mean, oh, it's a fault or whatever. There's always a fault on both sides, but compatibility is real. It's something that's a real issue. Because if you actually got along with that person and you realized it wasn't worth it, things happen. So when you embrace relationships, I had this mature understanding that when I had those emotions resurface, I was thinking to myself, wow, this is painful. Because I remember telling myself years ago, I didn't deserve it. No one would want to be around me. You know, like all of those negative affirmations. Thankfully, alhamdulillah, I'm actually very okay with relationships now. But just for a brief moment, to be specific, it was yesterday, I suddenly had that resurface and I was thinking I should make a video on this because so many people get triggers of their past and you guys need to know that you deserve it. This is just the old you coming back to tell you, I'm scared. And this is what happens when we change. It's a transitional phase. So the old you who is insecure is coming out and saying, I'm not ready for this. But you have to remind it that you are. So parts of this would include having intrusive thoughts. So a lot of them were intrusive. I was thinking, what if I say something dumb? What if I sound too negative? And I started to notice that I was indeed being a tad bit negative. And then I kept apologizing. That was something I used to do. But thankfully, the person was very reassuring. I was thinking that there's something I need to do. And it happens. You know, life happens, we happened, and we just have to understand that we deserve it. We deserve love, we deserve care. Except if we weren't used to it, it feels very hard to deserve it. But that does not mean we don't deserve it. It's a human right of ours. I always felt like I wanted to be the priority. I wanted to be the person they think about. It was an insecurity. But then I realized that I don't have to be, not just recently, by the way, this is years ago. I realized that I don't have to be the number one. I was used to not being number one, but I basically centered myself instead. And when I started to think about myself a lot, you know, self love, but actually looking into myself, not those random self help gurus you see on YouTube. No, thank you. Actual preservation of the self and not following this it girl, it boy mentality because, no, we're human beings, not a stupid trend. Because the kid me always wanted to chill with people. And it was actually quite an emotional moment because I could feel her presence again. You know, I'm not even a kid anymore. I might sound like one to some people, but I'm not. And when I saw those things resurface, I was scared. I was thinking, the poor girl had to go through this. She was a girl who was just living life, you know, she was innocent, she was happy, she was just being a kid. And she was exposed to all of that. And the best thing I can do is give her justice. Instead of crying, grieving, I should acknowledge, yes, it hurts, yes, it stings. Take the time to cry if you need, but you don't want to stay in that state. You want to do your best. You want to be someone who is mindful of the present. So if you give yourself justice, you won't be thinking about intrusive thoughts. You won't be thinking, are you hurting this person? Are you annoying them? Because that's an intrusive thought. When you have intrusive thoughts, am I bothering this person? It's not actually an issue that's about you being hurt. You're hurting the other person. And I know some people might be thinking, how's this possible? I'm thinking low about myself. Let me explain. You guys are actually thinking critically about the other person because you are thinking that they are judging you. Even if it's your own insecurity, your mind is immediately thinking negatively. What if they don't like me? Why would you think so negatively about that person? It sounds personal, it feels personal, but it's not. Not as much as you think. When it comes to YouTube, because some of my friends right now are actually people who watch me. Okay, that's embarrassing, but it also reminds me that there's always a true self to things, right? So yeah, true self indeed. So you guys see me as this YouTuber, and I really hope no one pedestalizes me. I don't want anyone to do that. So whenever my subscribers, viewers, whoever, they reach out to me, and I mention them specifically, I noticed that I don't have to put up an act. You know how some people are so sweet with their subscribers? I'm not trying to glaze myself by any means, but I want to still say this. Some people would be talking in an extra sweet way because it's a fan. For me, as another human being, I'm chill. I'd speak. I could be shy indeed because I'm hello, and you watch me. Hello, that's embarrassing. But I am still myself because I'm myself on my platform. If I was fake on this platform, I would be fake with the people around me. And this is why being authentic to yourself is important, especially with relationships. If you cannot be honest with yourself about who you are, no one else will understand you. You know, when people say, oh, no one understands, no one gets me, do you get yourself? And if you're thinking that you have to think 100% about knowing yourself, no. There's always parts of yourself that you'll feel like, what the fudge? Wait, what? Sorry, dude, I didn't mean to bounce on your head. There's always parts of you that you won't understand, and you have to embrace them all. So there are sides of me that could be upset, there are sides of me that are angry, but it's part of me. It doesn't mean I'm entirely an angry person. It doesn't mean I'm just tragic. It means that I'm a human being who has these feelings as well. And that's what people need to understand. And if you're someone who has had vulnerable emotions neglected or whatever, I'm holding your hand because I need to hold my own right now, but I'm playing this. But if you've had those emotions neglected before, it gets harder and harder and you build more walls. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that you should never have those emotions. It just means that you need to be with the right people. Now, emotions are very natural. The right people will notice, you know. It's something that we definitely need to embrace. You don't have to say, oh, I'm gonna cry at 7 a.m. for this person. No, that's not it. It happens. You might even start bawling your eyes out before you even realize it. And honestly, people don't want to jump into vents. People don't want to jump into emotional aspects with friendships typically. So unless the person you speak to is someone who is highly emotional, and that's not an issue, that's just how people are, then don't start or do early events. Because this, I'm going to be honest, I had moments where I was like this, and I had moments where I had people like this. And I was thinking to myself that, hell no. I am not going to be around someone like that, nor am I going to allow myself to be that way. Because imagine you just meet someone and they're immediately negative. What are they going to do? Are they going to give me further depression? Sorry, I do not mean to dismiss anyone's pain, but I have to see it this way. Because I don't want pain on top of pain. I pray that God helps them with whatever they're struggling with, but I'm sorry. I'm not your therapist. I'm a friend. And when people decide to be this way, it's very critical for us. So if you guys do decide to be friends with people, or you want to have connections with someone, you need to see someone who's on the same wavelength as you. And this might sound harder than you think, but it's not really. So what you have to do is understand that if you value yourself, you need to see someone who values themselves. You have to see how people act when they value themselves. And then you'll cancel out everything that doesn't align with that, and it becomes easier. So with some of my friends now, they carry themselves really well. None of the people I generally chill with are negative beyond fixing, you know. People have lives, people focus on the positive, and no one is a complete pessimist. And I try my best to not be this way as well. I'm honest with my feelings, but I'm still guarded because it's not something I could just give access to immediately. It's something they have to earn. And you're not with someone for the sake of earning feelings. You're with them because you want to build something genuine. And building something genuine is never forced. And even though this is so easy to understand, when I was younger, and even recently, it still becomes harder to practice each day because nowadays people want immediate gratification. We just want to jump to a level 10 or 100 relationship, but it doesn't work that way. And when we start from zero, then we just have to understand that life is like that. It stings. Also, one thing I want to say, Info, please, please, please add a tracker to your game. These treasure chests are near impossible for me to just find myself. One of my viewers also mentioned this as well. So that's something that is helpful. But yeah, I'm sick and tired of people thinking that they have to pedestalize others. Look, you're pedestalizing people with their own problems. Another human being with problems of their own, insecurities of their own, they're just so damn well good at hiding it. So that's why people need to, just take a chill pill. You deserve love. You deserve to have people who care about you. And I'm not saying this to get on your good side or whatever. I've been through this literally yesterday. It was just a sheer moment, but I felt all of those undeserving emotions, those intrusive thoughts, because I was doing something different. I was challenging my old self. And how did I know it was something different? It's because when I had that emotion, I could retaliate and say, no, I do deserve it. Because back in the past, I would dwell in it, I'd sit in it, I'd just sleep in it, do whatever in it, but not solve it. So when you guys focus on doing what you can, it helps a lot. And it sounds so cliche, typical, but this is someone you'll be spending time with. And I've mentioned this before. I'm investing my energy, my time on you. I am not going to do that to absolutely everyone. With replying to comments, etc., that's different. But when it's a friendship, I don't let everyone in. Well, guys, first of all, you have to realize that whatever you went through in the past is not your fault, and it's not a definitive path. Just because it happened doesn't mean you're destined to never have good relationships. A lot of people make this mistake, and let me tell you, just because some are doesn't mean all are. That's being biased and vilifying people, especially people who have not done anything to you. So yeah, if you want to be someone, oh crap, the beast is right there. If you want to be someone who's incredible, who's beloved to people, you have to treat people like they're beloved. You have to treat yourself like you're beloved. But by beloved, I'm not saying you have to basically hug someone or you have to just buy them flowers. No. You have to learn how to value yourself and then slowly learn what valuing others means. And once you do that, you'll start to see that others can reciprocate that. Sometimes we don't want relationships. Sometimes we feel like it's too much, it's unbearable. But guys, just know, don't give up on ties. Don't give up on people. I know it's a lot. I know sometimes we think, what are we doing all this for? Is this even worth it, etc.? But guys, it's always worth it. There's always something that you can do. There's always something that you guys can try to focus on. You know what I'm saying? it's not too late. It's not too late to have that friendship. It's not too late to have those things. But you have to realize that you have to fight through the uncomfortable part. You're going to have moments where, if you're like me especially, you're going to have moments where these feelings resurface. But you have to define it differently. And it's painful, it's agonizing. Sometimes it feels like how it does during the time where you first felt it. But then you realize it's like an illusion. It's like it feels real initially, and then you realize that, oh, you're actually away from that feeling. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video like this because investing in something like this is precious, and you should think 10 times before going into a friendship. And I've made a video about friendship. If you guys want to check that out, go ahead. I'd say it sums up pretty much everything I feel about friendship. So if this resonated with you, definitely check that out. And I do want to say that you guys deserve so much, so many amazing things. And yeah, these feelings do hurt, but we're not gonna let them win. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Peace, and I'll see you guys in another video. Goodbye.